At an interesting time when most automakers are facing the future with newer engine systems that offer better cost and efficiency, Mazda is looking into the past by revisiting its old and abandoned rotary engine. The rotary engine is an internal combustion engine using a different process. They've announced a new rotary engine with impressive features that could very well shake up the entire EV industry. But why take the risk of reviving a failed system? And what makes Mazda so confident that it would succeed right now? The biggest and most powerful vehicle that Mazda has ever built. Join us as we explore the story behind the engine, the stunning upgrades they've made, and how it's expected to work. Rotors, which function as pistons, and fixed pinions, which determine the direction of the rotors. The inspiring story behind Mazda's new engine goes way back to 1925. Ford's Model T at the time dominated the roads in terms of sales and performance, but had a heavy four-cylinder engine that easily knocked and overheated. GM's Chevrolet Superior D series were pretty much dead on arrival because they had engines that weren't very reliable. Dodge cars were among the most powerful but always rattled due to unbalanced piston parts and had annoying engines that needed frequent oiling and produced a lot of noise with overly excessive vibrations. The auto industry desperately needed a smoother and more efficient solution. And that was when the rotary engine came in. This engine was promised by famous engineer and visionary Felix Wankel, and he promised to accomplish this through NSU, a small German firm specializing in building the cheapest cars and motorcycles on the market. Felix Wankel was a famous engineer born way back in 1902 who dreamed of proving everything he had learned about traditional engines wrong. As early as age 17, he already had his idea for what would later become known as a rotary engine. This machine would not use pistons like regular car engines, but would rather spin in a circular motion that made engines lighter, smaller, and smoother than the regular ones that caused a lot of problems. When the idea struck his mind, Felix wasted no time in drawing out his ideas in a way he believed would never produce vibrations and loud sounds like most engines did. So from late 1925 to 1937, Felix got to work on making his wild dream a reality. But as expected, things weren't as simple as he envisioned. Though he had successfully built a lab in Heidelberg with the best engineers his small pockets could afford, it wasn't until 1951 when he finally got the chance to take his work seriously. This was primarily because of the Second World War, and when things finally settled down in Germany, he didn't have the funds to keep his lab going and had to work for another company called NSU. Thanks to their expertise in making cars and motorcycles, Felix finally had access to much better tools and all the money he needed to bring his engine to life. Now this was where things got interesting. By late 1957, after years of dedication and hard work, Felix Wankel's engine ran for the first time. The company watched in amazement as the engine ran with a triangle-shaped rotor spinning inside an oval chamber, instead of pistons moving up and down like with traditional engines. Better yet, it created the same power cycles but with fewer moving parts and less weight. This meant less fuel consumption and much better efficiency. At first, the machine overheated and almost fell apart. But thanks to his partner, Hans-Dieter Paschke, who made some adjustments to his earlier models, this addition worked perfectly, without any of the issues that plagued the more popular engines made by Ford and GM. It was publicly demonstrated by NSU through a press conference not long after, and the event was a huge success that quickly got the attention of much bigger companies. Most of them wanted to closely observe and take notes on how the engine worked so they could produce a better version of it by themselves. But only one company wanted to support NSU to make more editions of this engine and improve them with its bigger resources. Interestingly enough, the company that wanted to help them wasn't a German firm, but a Japanese car maker based in Hiroshima called Mazda. Even a much newer EV company is projected to outperform Mazda's RX-9, like Rivian with their 4-year-old R1T electric pickup truck, which was also released in late 2021. It offers over 300 miles of range with a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of under 10 seconds, 60 miles per hour time of 3 seconds. Still in 2021, we have the highly beloved Volkswagen ID.4. It offers many features that Mazda's rotary engine would currently struggle to accommodate, including high-tech systems that are unlikely to be found in the RX-9 due to the inherent limitations of the rotary setup. This means that Mazda would need to carefully market the RX-9 as a sports car, but one that emphasizes safety and comfort over pure speed and thrills. The RX-9 would need to strike a perfect balance that appeals to anyone curious enough to give it a chance. But that isn't the only challenge Mazda must address. For example, let's say the plan works, and many people choose to buy the RX-9 over Tesla's Model S Plaid. Mazda's biggest challenge then becomes keeping up with the massive production capabilities that Tesla already has. Mazda will more than likely struggle with mass production once their products become high in demand. The only way to keep the RX-9 and future models in high demand would be by making their vehicles affordable from the start, without sacrificing the quality of the promised driving experience. This could mean selling their cars at a loss for a short time if necessary. If Mazda can take that hit by offering a more budget-friendly hybrid that doesn't compromise on performance, the company could attract price-sensitive customers, people who like EVs but hesitate due to the high costs. Another smart strategy Mazda could pursue is tapping into the growing demand for smaller vehicles that easily fit in the tight parking spaces. The company has long been known for making sporty cars that are smaller than most of the competition. However, they haven't always been practical for urban environments or for users who don't care much about aesthetics. On top of that, the best high-performance EVs today are known for being larger than average, often to the point of being impractical. Take the Tesla Model S, for instance. Even though it's a sedan, it's still relatively long compared to cars typically used in cities. It becomes a hassle to use in crowded urban areas with limited parking. Mazda could capitalize on this by making the RX-9 more compact and efficient, instantly grabbing the attention of potential customers and fans of EVs. One of the key elements of Mazda's vision for the RX-9 is to drastically improve battery life and driving range. In fact, two of the most important factors buyers consider when looking at EVs are charging speed and battery range. Range anxiety has become a normal part of life for EV users, so much so that every long drive often comes with a sense of uncertainty. Mazda could benefit greatly if they focus on designing compact cars that rely on smaller, faster charging batteries that still deliver comparable results to the much heavier Tesla models with supercharging capabilities. But even with all these strategies, Mazda as a brand is still a much smaller player in the EV market and has fewer resources compared to Tesla. However, that doesn't mean they can't dominate the market in their own way. If Mazda focuses on building a hybrid vehicle that appeals to very specific customer needs that aren't met by pure EVs, they don't need to beat Tesla outright. They can still succeed by carving out their own niche in this rapidly expanding industry. So what do you think? Will Mazda dominate the EV industry with their new Rotary engine? Or will the project crash and burn like it did over a decade ago? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the next video shown on your screen.